St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer, next on City Corner. Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson and welcome to City Corner. For more than 50 years, St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer has been raising millions of dollars to support the local cancer community. Today, we're going to learn more about their work, about an upcoming fundraising event, and I'm also joined in studio by one of their grant recipients. So joining me today is Anita Kraus, Executive Director of St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer, as well as Heather Bachman, the Executive Director of Camp Braveways. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I know this month we've got a big fundraising event coming up, which we're going to get to later in the show, but I thought we could first start things off to just let people know what it is that St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer actually does most of the time behind the scenes, but doing great work in the local cancer community. Please tell us more.
Well, our organization actually started in 1969 by a small group of people that wanted to raise money to help those with cancer. And they did that, and then they actually formed their own 501c3 in 1980. So they have been this really great group this whole time, and they're unique in that they partner, and they do look at it as a partnership with other organizations throughout St. Louis and Missouri, and raise money for them throughout the year and then grant it to them.
That's wonderful. I know we have a lot of photos representing different organizations that I recognize. You know, Heather's going to talk about for Camp Braveways here in a second, but talk about some of the organizations that you do partner with and that you do issue grants to.
So we have, for example, this year, we're granting to 38 different grants, and,
Okay.
they stem from American Cancer Society, Annie's Hope, Camp Braveways, as well as Camp Kesem that runs through SLU.
Okay.
We have so many. We have the Bennett Project, JC Memorial. They all do different things. And then we have a lot of our research-based grants that are from WashU, Siteman, Mercy, Missouri Baptist. Mm-hmm. So we really, we have
a lot.
A wide range.
A wide range. And I know when I introduced you, you've raised, since 1969, millions and millions of dollars, distributed more than $6 million.
Yes.
For different programs. And I think when I was reading, and you tell me this, that in addition, you fund organization and you fund specific programs, but you actually follow up on how that money is used. So I was wondering if you could talk about that approach and why that's important.
What I think is not unique at all, but very important to bring the impact of what we really do is that we have an actual grant application where the proposals are written and there's follow-up in terms of the organizations getting back to St. Louis Men's Group in order of what we spent the money on, how we spent it, and helping to partner with us by letting others know that they are partially funded by St. Louis Men's Group. And so I think that connection and that partnership really move a lot of information around, but also really show people it is a community and the money raised here is being spent here, and the circle continues.
Yeah, it's like we talk about so many times too, it's, cancer affects so many families, so many people we know, and that behind the scenes, there's so much going on to sort of move research forward, to move care and support for families forward, and without the raising of funds to do that, doesn't always go noticed sometimes, and so it's great to have you here to share more about that information. One organization, one partner you have been working with for a long time, I know you were telling me off camera, you couldn't even remember the origin stories, is Camp Braveways, and so Heather, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I know this is a busy time for you. I think we were saying busy time year round for you, but I want to start things off just, you've got your shirt on, your quarter zip up, but talk about Camp Braveways and what it is.
Sure. So Camp Braveways is a camp for children and families dealing with a pediatric cancer or blood-related disease diagnosis. We have 8 camp programs. We operate year-round in those programs. We are located in the St. Louis area, but we actually serve children coming from Columbia, Missouri, and then the 3 children's hospitals in St. Louis.
Okay, we've got some, I was on your website looking and you've got wonderful video that I wanted to have a look at while you talk about it. Tell me a bit about, like, I was looking at it just really for the kids that are there, that notion, that sense of joy that develops, and talk about, basically their lives, and then when they're coming to camp, how that makes them feel.
Yeah, our kids are going through, and their families are going through just the worst period of their lives, probably. And these children just want an opportunity to feel normal. And this camp, our camp programs, give them an opportunity to be part of a community where they are normal, where they can run and laugh and play, but where they're also getting their medical treatments. Our health centers are fully staffed by the medical professionals from the area hospitals. So the same person providing chemo in the hospital is the same person providing chemo at Camp Braveways while you're at camp. So you're safe, you're getting the care and treatment you need, but you just get an opportunity to set it all aside and just be normal. Just normal for a couple of days.
What do you think it is that people sometimes don't get, that families and children are like what they're feeling and how they're navigating the situation?
We recently renamed ourselves to Camp Braveways, and it's really because we're telling their story, the really brave story. And I think kids and families who are navigating a pediatric cancer diagnosis are some of the bravest people you will ever meet. It's really brave to sit in a hospital bed and sign your child up to go to camp and then drop them off at that camp. That's some scary stuff. And I just think that's it's part of, I have this cool email I can share, but it's, a parent wrote and said, this was her medicine. This was just as much part of her treatment and her care as what was happening in the hospital. And I think that's what we provide. It's just a different way of giving a community, of providing joy and happiness and a little break.
Right, and the experience of being with other people. I know you did have an impact statement. If you want to kind of share it with us, please, I'd love for you to share it.
So we see about 1,500 campers each year through one of our camp programs. And so one of our campers, Belle, recently rang the bell and to celebrate the end of her treatment. So she had 838 days of treatment, which is crazy. So she's 14 years old, and in celebration of her last day of chemo, her dad sent this email. And I'll just read this little part of it, which says, "We dropped her off with the expectations we would be getting a phone call that night to pick her up, but that's not what happened at all. The staff at camp welcomed Belle with open arms. She was 50 pounds and bald, but none of that mattered. She was part of a community that was just like her and knew exactly what she was going through. She played games, made art, danced, sang, and had a week full of multiple activities. But most importantly, she made dear lifelong friends. Looking back, our social worker was correct. It was a magical experience, and for us, it wasn't just a fun week. It was part of her medicine that she needed very badly." So that's, yeah.
No, and it's really, it's really touching. And when you think about, I think when we were talking off camera too, it's like the day-to-day that you're facing when you're in this situation, both the children as well as the families, and to have this sort of community, sort of, it's a break, but also, being a communal break though with other people, and what that experience is like. What is the origins, what's the background for the camp when it was started?
So
who started it?
Yeah, so in 1988, Ronnie and Alan Brockman started camp. And what happened was Alan was part of a group, kind of like a Make-A-Wish, where he went, it's called the Dream Factory, went into the hospital and asked the sick child, like, what's your dream? What do you want? And the child said, I want to go to camp, but I can't because I'm sick. And so he went home, he said to his wife, Ronnie, like, do you think we can make this happen? And she was like, sure, we can do it. And they did. So that first summer, they hosted 28 campers, they had 28 counselors and 10 volunteers. And they made it happen. And so that was in 1988. And since that day, more than 15,000 campers have participated in one of our camp programs. So it grew from that one camp, that one small 28-person camp program to, this summer we'll have 160 kids on campus for our summer camp sessions. Yeah.
Wow. And where's the camp located?
It's located in Dittmer, Missouri.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's an incredible story. And I love this with the video. It's like, 'cause you just sense the feeling. It's so nicely done in the sense that it captures the joy that the campers are feeling. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Anita, when you hear that and you hear sort of, the organizations that you're working with and the impact that you're making from the funds that are raised and distributed to them, what makes you most proud about this area of work that you're doing?
Overall, it's always amazing to see the impact, regardless of which organization, but I have witnessed individually the impact from this organization, and I will tell you, it's like watching a dance. Every child has a partner, and that partner is not paid, it's volunteer, and they're together the whole time. And it is just amazing for them to put together this amazing week, and the impact is great. And when you look at what the impact entails, and it's not just the volunteers at Camp Braveways, it's not just the medical support staff, it's also everyone who helped to get all the activity things that are needed, everything on site at one time, when it's needed, and they just do it all. The campfire is an amazing experience.
I think there's so much too when you're with nonprofits. I see this, time and time again. Like everyone has a role. Every volunteer, everybody has a place in making the mission work, and felt and that impact. I appreciate you sharing that. Where do you see right now? I mean, and Heather, feel free to join in here in this area. Sort of the greatest need right now in terms of supporting families and patients dealing with cancer.
What I see is that the support is still needed. So what I see is whether it's supporting St. Louis Men's Group against cancer or individually supporting one of the many, many organizations throughout the area, the support is there. We were talking before the segment, and the wait list is there. The wait list is there for nearly every single one of our organizations that we support. And the need for continued research or continued programming or continued emotional support or continued food or continued transportation to get to treatments and appointments, and it's still there, it's prevalent. And so jumping in, whatever feels right for you is what we are seeing a need for.
Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap things up?
No, I would completely agree. I do think the need is great. There seems to be more and more children and people, probably even in your own life that who seem to be getting diagnosed with a cancer of some sort. And whether it's at Camp Braveways or the research, I've shared earlier, I'm a cancer survivor myself, so I used a lot of those services. And about 12 years ago when I went through it, and I just think, the need is great. The number of people who are being diagnosed is great. And so the support from the St. Louis Men's Group, as well as the people who support the St. Louis Men's Group, it's really important in our area.
No, thank you. I appreciate you adding that in, and thank you for sharing that. We're going to talk about ways that people can support by attending your fundraising event.
Yes.
We're going to get to that in a second. Before we wrap up, I want to put some information on the screen for you. First, so you can learn more about St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer. Follow them on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. That's the website, so you can learn about the different grant recipients, the different organizations they're supporting, raising money for, and then redistributing that money. Please go to the website. We're going to talk about a really big event and some other fundraising events that are coming up. One, in fact, this month. So that's going to be in our second segment. And then here's some information about Camp Braveways. I know there's so much more, Heather, that we didn't get a chance to cover, but I love what you were able to share with us. And please head to the website to learn more. Pass this information along to anyone that you know who may need it. But stay with us. Thank you both for being here. Heather, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to have more right after this. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Did you know that you can watch STL TV on your smartphone or tablet? That's right, STL TV is available on your Android or iOS mobile devices. And that includes our live broadcast channels as well as video on demand content. It is really easy to get started. Just find the App Store on your device, then search for Cablecast. Select it and click to install. Launch the app, and if you're in the St. Louis area, STL TV should be the first channel to show up. If you're not in the area, you may have to scroll down to find it. So just click on the STL TV logo, and in just a few seconds, you're enjoying STL TV's great programming such as City Corner, Inside Sports, City Government, What's the 314, or my personal favorite, In the Kitchen.
Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome back to City Corner. Today we're learning about the work that St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer does here in the St. Louis community and the organizations that they support. I'm joined by the Executive Director, Anita Kraus. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great first segment. I loved having Heather here to learn about some of the organizations that you support. You've got actually in your hand a list. You support so many different organizations
We really
in the
do.
cancer community. Tell me a bit more about some of them.
So we have everything from Hope Lodge, which is an amazing organization that helps house people that need a space to stay or their loved ones. So there's rooms and kitchen area and quiet areas and really serene areas. There's outdoor areas where they can just be when they can't be at home, when they're traveling from a place. And in the same likeness of that, Haven House does that as well. Haven House St. Louis has a new home.
Do they?
And Ronald McDonald now has their new building. So we have a few of these, and they are always on wait list. They're always full. And so it really makes you wonder, you're dealing with all this and you're not at home.
Yeah.
So they're fortunate to have these organizations to use. Annie's Hope is amazing because they help children who are grieving with one of their parents dying or a sibling or a family member. And the emotional help they give throughout the year is really impactful in those kids' lives and makes a tremendous difference.
And imagine for you too. In your position as executive director, you're seeing. You're just getting those impact stories that we're talking about. You're learning about them so much over the years because you're supporting a lot of the same organizations like Camp Braveways over and over again, plus new ones. But the need never goes away, obviously.
It really doesn't. Before I got to this position, I already was volunteering for Camp Braveways for what it was then, when it was Camp Rainbow. But it's the same program, just bigger.
Just bigger because you've seen
bigger
it.
and more expansive, yes. So, these organizations, many of them have been around a really long time. SLOCA, for example, St. Louis Women's Ovarian Cancer Awareness, has been around for a really long time and has been very supported throughout the community. Has lots of partners, and it's necessary. It's needed. Those women need their support.
Yeah.
Faith Through Fire is newer, but a peer-to-peer help through the journey.
Wow.
So, and they offer weekends away, similar to what the kids are doing at camp, but for adults. And they have family weekends, but they also just have, female weekends to help support.
There's so many I want to get into before, and we'll come back to that because I know there's there's just a huge
Oh my gosh,
list.
so many.
A huge list.
go
And I
on
know I
and
was
on
saying
and
to
on.
you that I think here at STLTV, we've actually interviewed some of the directors from some of the nonprofits that you support. I want to be sure that we cover the women's event, that's coming up in April 29th, and we've got some great photos that we can talk about. So tell me more about this. Tell me about it. I think it's called this year, so the women's event, Sip, Shops, and Support.
Yes.
Is it called that every year? Is that just the theme this year?
No, this is the 5th women's event that the organization has had. So it's only the 5th. They did 3, and then there was a little COVID in there, and then they come back. So this is going to be our 5th.
Okay.
And the committee got together and decided that they really wanted it to be a little different.
Okay.
And not just go sit at a round table of 10 and sit there all night.
Right.
They really wanted something else. So what they created was like the best parts of those evenings that we all go to. Right? So you'll come and you'll get to see your friends and talk to your friends, and it won't be for just 8 minutes because then they're going to ring the bell and you have to go sit down. It's going to be the evening. The evening is a 4-hour evening. Come when is good for you.
Yes.
Stay as long as you like. It's going to be very, very fun. In the middle of our program, we will have a program.
Okay.
From 6:30 to about 7:10, we are going to have an actual program with Elizabeth Mannen Berges is our spotlight speaker, and she is going to share her story. She's a 5-time survivor, and for anybody who does not know Elizabeth yet, they need to come and they need to hear her story. It is just very motivating.
No, it's
very emotional.
I was going to ask you about that because yes, I think so many people here see Elizabeth Mannen Berges, her name, and know her as a big philanthropist in town, a big, civic leader in town, but don't necessarily know her story.
Right.
So we've got a photo of her from your, as your keynote. So she's a 5-time cancer survivor.
She is.
And so she's going to be talking about
she
her
is
journey.
lovely, and her outlook is lovely, and just a fantastic woman. I'm so blessed to have met her.
Yes.
And we also have our amazing MC, Tamar Sher, and she is fantastic. And she has a personal reason for why she feels linked to St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer. So she'll share that as well.
Okay.
And we also have a mission person to tell a mission story from Faith Through Fire. Beth Wilmus is going to be at the dinner as well and share a very short story. So that's basically our program.
So
it's going to be very
dinner,
short,
there's
very
shopping,
sweet.
and then
Open seating. You can sit where there will be plenty of tables and chairs, so you don't have to stand up and eat. I, for one, don't like to stand
I
up and
imagine
eat.
you're probably moving around quite a bit. Yeah.
Yes, but when I attend these events, I don't like to stand around and eat.
Yeah.
So we have plenty of tables and chairs, and everyone should come and have yummy food selections and have a drink, whether it be non-alcoholic or alcoholic, and shop at our 22 boutiques. So we have partnered with 22 different boutiques. It's a very curated list, and they're going to be there and be selling. And it's going to be a fun evening. That's where the shopping
That's the
came
shopping.
in. Yes.
So the
yes.
sipping,
Sipping,
shop,
shopping.
and then supporting,
Yeah,
obviously, a
yeah.
great cause. And so this is a big, so you're saying this is the 5th year for the women's event as one of the big fundraisers. And I know that's coming up, we want to say April 29th at the Ritz-Carlton. We're going to have that information.
Registration opens at 4:30, but
Okay.
you can feel free to come whatever fits in your schedule. We will still welcome you. And if you're someone that likes to get home earlier, you'll be able to do that as well.
No, I think it's a great event. You have a lot. I mean, on the one hand, it's putting into perspective. I mean, you're giving out millions, right? And so you have to raise a lot of that money
We
in all
do.
different places.
We do.
Events being one of them. So let's tell me up next. This is on April 29th, but coming up to you have in May the grant recipient luncheon, and tell me a bit more about
So
that.
that
We've
is
got a
really
pickleball event.
the best event of the year because all of our grant recipients join us.
Oh.
They all share some impactful story from their organization, and we give them their checks that day. And joined at this luncheon are our sponsors from throughout the year. So our sponsors are invited to come and to meet and see the directors or representatives from all the organizations and hear their stories. And it really brings it all together. And so without that partnership and without all of those levels working in synergy together, it won't work without it. And
That's
so
really nice.
It's
That's
really
nice.
an amazing day.
Yeah.
And there's usually a lot of tears.
I can imagine.
The impactfulness of what these directors and representatives do within the organizations is immense.
And a chance for the people, as you said,
Yeah.
the sponsors to have a chance
And some
to
of
hear
them
those
have
stories.
used them personally or through a loved one personally, and some have not. And it's wonderful to have that education going on, and then it blossoms and networks out. And
That's great. That's great. And you've got a pickleball event coming up in July.
we do, July 18th this year at the MPC,
Okay.
the one in Ellisville.
Okay.
And it's going to be lots of fun. The publicity has not yet started on it. But if anyone's interested in being a sponsor for that event or even joining it, they can just be watching for all the media that's going to come out for it.
Okay. For the pickleball. So that's that's the 4th year. That's a big one then too.
It is the 4th year, and the 3rd year was bigger than the first 2. And so we're rolling. Yes.
That's great. And then I know we've got some photos from past one, but your St. Louis Men's Dinner. This seems like, so is this your...
This was the Keystone event. And when the organization started, that was the event. That
Was it?
So once a year, one time, that was it.
And I noticed in some of the photos with the men in the red ties, tell me the back, and we can try to find a photo for that, the background on that.
So other than the fact that they just chose red, I really don't know why they chose red. I tried to get that story, I don't have the exact facts of
It's
it,
okay, I'm
but
sorry
I
to
can
put
tell
you
you
on the
that
spot about
they
it.
all wear their red ties, and at the luncheon they will have on their jackets and their red ties.
Red ties, that really
And that's from last year's
is it.
luncheon. Yeah.
So I know I remember reading from, I guess it was last year, you had Terry Bradshaw, was it
We
last
did. He
year?
was our speaker last year, and he really brought in a lot of sponsorship and excitement, and
Yes.
he did not disappoint.
Yes.
He did a fantastic job. He was at the VIP before the dinner started, and he also just stayed on stage, stayed and stayed and stayed. He was great. He did
sure.
not want it to end. So.
I'm sure everyone loved that for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really a great event. And they raised more money than they had ever raised, which was outstanding. And this year's goal, because of last year, this year's goal can be increased, which is also outstanding.
That's great. I mean, it takes a lot. I mean, this is a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work for you, for your team, for everyone. And I know that you're doing, just like we were saying, impactful work on the fundraising side, and then these amazing organizations. As we wrap things up here, I mean, what is sort of, in your position as executive director, what is that, when you think about those important moments, what is it that you love about what it is that you're doing in this area?
I think what I love the most is how everyone is netted together. And it's really just a huge circle of interconnected circles. And I love that, because without one part of it, it won't really work. And the women's event is a great example of that. One of our goals was to increase awareness. And we have succeeded in doing that by bringing more sponsors together, and they're all bringing people, and so on.
Yes.
And so the big push this year is bring someone who maybe isn't as familiar yet.
Right.
And that's going to increase that awareness. We had a lot of goals, but that was one of them. And I think that is, knowledge is king, and I just think we have to make everyone aware of what is available and what's needed to make that available, and then let's make it happen.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you so much for being here. And just good luck. I know you've got a year of events coming up, but also the work that you're doing is, really supporting the cancer community here in St. Louis, and just keep up the great work. And thank you for being here.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you at home for watching. Before we leave, I want to show some graphics for you so you can write down this information coming up. The women's event, Sip, Shop, and Support fundraiser that Anita has been talking about, that's coming up Wednesday, April 29th. For tickets and information, go to Men's Group againstcancer.org to the website so you can learn more about that. You get tickets, the phone number's there. And then one more full screen graphic, just if you want to reach out to St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer. Here's their information for all the social handles: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and again, their website. Anita, thank you again for being here. And thank you at home for watching, and keep it right here on STLTV Experience St. Louis.